All right, you guys, we're back and we're live. Welcome back to our weekly live feed. As you guys are logging on, you know where to go. All the links are in our description box below. If you want to come work with me, suitsandposing.com is one of them. Welcome, you guys. When you log on, say hello, type into the chat. If you're logging on Instagram, we are live on both Facebook and YouTube. It's a better experience there. We have a lot to do tonight. We typically go live on Tuesdays to do wrap-ups and previews and all that kind of fun stuff, but we had our Backstage Pass webinar launch last night, which went really, really well. So if you missed it, you missed out. So when we do these Backstage Pass launches, they're going to be once every 90 days. That's our new class enrollment. So if you missed the webinar, there is no replay. You have to be there live for the webinar. Now, if you're still interested in joining Backstage Pass, you can up until Friday, okay? This particular class of enrollees will be able to register until Friday, 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you are interested in it, reach out, let me know. I'll shoot you over the link so you can take a look at it. Now, again, no more webinar access. Webinar access is only live one time every 90 days. So make sure that you're on it the next time that we open up registration. If this is something that you're interested in, I try to tell you guys that. Try to tell you. But I can still send you the link. You can take a look at it if you'd like. Not the webinar, but the actual Backstage Pass membership itself. What's up? Welcome from Chicago. Yeah, go ahead and type in where you're from. We got Texas. We got Chicago. Where else? What else we got? Who else we got online tonight? My cough is getting better. My congestion is getting better. It's still not great. I'm still talking through my nose a little bit, but it's getting there little by little. We got Wisconsin. We got California. Yeah, I do feel better for sure. I definitely feel better. It's just one of those things, like when you have one of these like head colds, the congestion part of it sticks around for like a couple of weeks. So I don't sound like my normal self, but I pretty much am. It's hard for me to laugh. When I laugh, I get like caught up in my throat. So we got Bronx Girl in an LA world. I love it. We got Albuquerque. Where else? Where else we got? Texas. Awesome. Well, while everybody is logging in and shouting out, I'm going to give a shout out to our YouTube channel sponsors. We got Prozis is our YouTube channel sponsor, one of them. If you have not checked them out yet, go ahead and scan that QR code. The link is also in the description box on YouTube. We got a special code for you there too, Cuties 10, that gets you discounts. It's like they're basically like your Amazon for sports nutrition. So check it out. We got Texas, we got Santa Cruz, California. I think I said those already. We got Southern Utah. Where else we got? What else we got? So check out Prozis. They have everything that you could possibly need, from workout clothes to like foam rollers and actual gear and stuff like that. Lifting straps, things like that. All of your supplement needs, vitamins, everything like that. Food, some of the best freaking bars and things like that you'll ever get. No crazy preservatives like we have here in the States, because they're actually based on Portugal. We got Niagara Falls. We got North Dakota. Love it. Love it. I'm going to also shout out our Liquid Sun Rayz YouTube sponsors as well. The code for Liquid Sun Rayz is Cuties15. So if you need tanning products, tanning services, use that code. Use this QR code as well. Their link is also in the description box below. Check them out. Welcome, you guys. All right. Let's get down to business. So tonight we are going to wrap up this past weekend shows, and we are going to preview this coming weekend shows. I did pull up all the photos ahead of time, but I'm going to warn you right now, NPC News Online was acting a little bit screwy. Their little search bar was not working. So hopefully the photos will work as we go through them. I did pull up photos for every girl, so hopefully we won't have any hangups, but I was having an issue getting everybody up prior to getting online. So let's just get it started. First things first, let's review our shows from this past weekend. Okay. We have got Nevada State up first. Okay, let me get rid of that. Let's see. Yeah, it's a little bit better. Moving my, they updated the software here, so it's a little different. trying to figure out if I can, I think that's better. That's probably our best one right there. So what's good? Has been having web issues too. I don't know if it's connected. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's website, if it's just, I don't know. I was just having a hard time with getting, it was just the search bar more than anything else. So I was having a hard time. I had to go to Google to pull everybody's pictures up and then go through NPC News from Google, which was weird. So anyway, so we're going to talk a little bit about each of the competitors in the top 5 here at Nevada State. Be honest, I have not looked through the photos yet. It's been a very, very hectic week, and I haven't even looked at these pictures. So we're going to look at the pictures first time together. Clearly, we already knew that Ashley was kind of the front runner going into this. She won it here too. So we're going to start with 5th place and work our way up. So we have Erica. I know Erica very well. I've actually posed her in the past, everything too. Let's see if we're going to be able to move through it. Yeah, okay, they're working. Cool, awesome. Hopefully this continues to work for us. So Erica has been doing relatively well for the last season and a half, basically. She's been hitting top 5s, all of that. She did try a new purple suit here. I did notice that prior to her going on stage and all that kind of stuff too. She's usually in red. I believe she went back to the red for her finals look, which I do think red is better. Just on her skin tone in general, I think the red is better. Also going to say, as I'm looking at this now, I didn't even pull these pictures up ahead of time, like I said. Not a fan of the matchy-matchy eyeshadow. So guys, if you've got a purple suit, don't do purple eyeshadow. Just saying. It's very noticeable when it's matchy-matchy. So try to do stuff that's going to be more suited to you and your features. This is something I'm actually seeing a lot of, and this was actually something that, again, Debbie was very outspoken about at New York. She's not a fan of these, these big bright colors and things like that on stage. Go more towards neutral glam. Always go more towards neutral glam. We don't want your glam to be the main factor here. We want the glam to actually look like it's just amplifying you, right? So think about that when you're getting your glam done. I'm also going to mention something here too. I think that the earrings are too long. Depending on how she's turning her head, it almost looks like the earrings go right directly into her connectors. I definitely want to see some space between the earrings and the connectors there. So something else to keep in mind here, if you are a shorter girl, not quite so tall, don't get jewelry that's going to overwhelm you. Looking at her physique. All right, so what I'm seeing is vascularity in the shoulders and in the biceps. Don't know if that was something that was counted against her, but vascularity is definitely not something that they want to see in bikini. So be careful of that. If you are a vascular person, you've got to get yourself softened up a little bit. Everybody's gonna be a little bit different as far as how to achieve that. Sometimes it's kind of, dropping the sodium or dropping the carbs or whatever it might be. But that to me is the biggest thing that sticks out here. I think it makes her look a little bit more muscular than she actually, just kind of enhances the muscularity. Makes her look a little bit too dense. So that is something that I would definitely pull down a little bit. To me, this pose looks a little bit unbalanced as well. She looks a little broad in her upper body versus her lower. So I would work on the pose a little bit as well, trying to get yourself into a little bit more of a better balance here. It's always a hard fine-tune kind of thing because we just don't want the upper body to look like it's wider than the lower body, which is what I'm seeing right here. Now, this could be different if she was in person. This could just be her hitting this in between a, transition pose, that kind of thing too. But I don't think so. Let's roll through a couple of photos. So she's getting a little bit more relaxed here. That's a bit better as far as the upper body is concerned. But to me, I think she probably got critiqued on her upper body looking a little bit too dense is what I would consider feedback here. And again, I'm not a fan of the suit top either. I think it makes her look a little bit too wide through this connector is too wide. It needs to come in. The top pieces actually need to come in. Hair look is very pretty. I feel like her tan looks pretty good. The lighting of this particular show was a little off. Everybody looked a little bit greenish with their tan. So I'm not going to critique the tan itself as far as color. I think that's more lighting than it is actually the tan. So I'm not going to say that that's a problem here. Let's take a look at a back shot. Alrighty, here's a back shot. So the tan looks a little bit muddy to me from the back on her hamstrings here. Again, we see, I think this is a little bit too dense on the glutes, and she's a little bit too lean here. Same thing that we saw from the front of the shoulders. I think that her conditioning is a little bit over the line here. I think this is tanning issue right here on her hamstrings and everything as well. So I'd be careful with that. To me, this back pose looks like she's arched up a little bit too tall in the upper body. Needs to push back a little bit more in the lower. Yeah, she's pinching a little bit in the upper body here. Hair look is pretty. I just like to see this upper body look a little different. Probably relax the arms a little bit. That would do that for the back pose. But I think we're seeing some tanning issues here, and I think we're seeing a little bit too much conditioning. So that's what I would say for critiques for her. Yumi. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. The 4th place here. Let's pull this up here. Now her tan looks pretty light, but again, I think this is more so the lighting of the show versus the lighting of her tan. Yeah, this just looks, again, and I saw some videos and stuff like that too from the show. I think she might be a little bit too light with her tan in comparison to everybody else, but I'm not really sure. It might just be the lighting. Might just be the lighting. Good pose here. I'd like to see her do something different with her upper body. Yeah, there's no photos on Instagram. You got to go over to YouTube or Facebook to see photos. There's no screen sharing on Instagram. So it's just me on Instagram. I don't know if I'd like to see some hair in front. I think I'd like to see some hair in front of her back shoulder. I feel like this is just a lot of skin right here. Maybe drop the arm a little bit, round the shoulder out a little bit. I think she's got it's a pretty good pose here, but I just feel like there's just something a little off up top, just a little bit. Yeah, I think the lighting, muscle contest lighting, it tends to be a little bit wonky sometimes, and I think that might be what's going on. I'm not really sure. So the tan just looks a little funky here. Oh, actually the second coat is that. Okay. It's definitely a purple suit. It's not black. It's definitely purple. Again, looking at her here, I think she just needs a little bit more fullness in her upper body. Honestly, like I like her lower body. I think her upper body just needs some more fullness. And I think it's almost like the top of the suit just isn't. A lot of people are doing these really long connectors in between the chest here, and I just do not like those. I think that they're not flattering. It just shows a lot of skin in the center, and I'm just not a fan of that. I'm seeing this as a trend, and I just don't like it. I want a small connector. I want a small, like 3/4 of an inch to an inch, length in the middle. Bring those top pieces in. I'm just not a fan of this. It just throws the physique off a little bit for me. Let's get a back shot. Yeah, I had a posing client in this show, and her tan was significantly darker than everybody else's. I actually didn't think her tan was too dark. She was just darker than everybody else. I don't think her tan was too dark though. Okay, so from the back, this conditioning is pretty good. I want to see what this looks like next to Ashley's conditioning. This looks like it's just about right. But I think, she's just unbalanced from her top to bottom. I think she needs more back and shoulders, some more fullness to match her lower half of her body here, because I think her lower half of her body is pretty damn good. I think this is a pretty solid back shot here. I'd just like to see her balanced a little bit better. So, yeah, I got videos from my posing client at this show, and the videos were much different than the actual photos of the show. So I don't know. Again, sometimes the lighting is just really hard to deal with. Like these pictures are showing every detail on the skin. You know what I mean? Like I'm seeing little marks on the skin. I'm seeing stretch marks on the skin, which you typically don't see those kinds of things when we're looking at stage photos. So, Yeah, it's a little different. It's a little different for sure. Yeah, but in general with her physique, I would just make sure that she works on opening up her upper body, filling it out a little bit with a little bit more shoulder and back. Even here, her scapulas and everything, they're all crunched up and pinched. So, there's a lot she could do with her upper body here. Again, I wasn't a huge fan of her upper body from the front. I'm not a huge fan of her upper body from the back. I think there's some things that she can do to improve that. Because overall, I think she's got a pretty good look. I just think she's a little bit unbalanced. So I think she needs a little bit more mass up top, and she needs to pose it a little bit differently as well. Let's take a look. So Val was in third. This was a much leaner look, I believe, than what she's done the rest of the season so far. She's also going to be competing again this weekend. So her tan looks pretty good. This looks like a pretty decent tan here. The biggest issue now, okay, so now she's leaner than we've seen her all season, which tends to happen. As you go through the season, you're going to get leaner and leaner. So what we're seeing now is we're seeing some density in those quads, right? We're seeing some graininess in the quads. Vascularity in the shoulder. Again, you can see the vascularity. Again, we can see all of the skin things here in these photos that we typically can't see in some of these other shows. She's got to be a little bit bigger because she's a tall girl. We've talked about this before. She's going to be put together a little bit bigger, but I'm just seeing density where we need to kind of knock the density down a little bit, specifically this quad sweep right here, right? That graininess, that hardness. Also, like I said, the vascularity in the shoulders is going to need to be careful of that. I do like this suit. In general, I think this is a pretty good look, but I think I liked her New York look better. All right, let's move her to the back and see what we got on the back. Okay, here's a full back shot. Oh, it's blurry. Hang on. There we go. So yeah, her conditioning is a little bit too hard now, right? So she went from being too soft at Pittsburgh to being just about right in New York to here she's a little bit too hard, right? Really tight through the tie-in, really pronounced adductors here. We're seeing the splits in the hamstrings. We're seeing the feathering in the calves here. That's too much when it comes to that conditioning, right? So she's just over the line. So again, I know she's doing DC Prom this coming weekend, so they're probably going to need to soften her up, bring her back down a little bit to where she was kind of at New York. I'm guessing that was probably what her feedback was. Great back shot. She's just a little bit too much now. This is such a fine-tuned balance when it comes to conditioning. One week you can be too soft, one week you can be too hard. And I think she's a little bit over the line on the conditioning here. Okay, Sierra again took second. This was like a rematch from the week before with her and Ashley. Okay, so again, I'm not a huge fan of this lighting. I don't want to critique the tan too much because again, everybody's tan looks a little bit greenish, but her tan does look a little bit greenish here. And up against the green suit, that does not help, right? I do think she looks a little bit fuller here than she did the previous show, which is good. The previous show I mentioned she looked a little bit tired, like she'd gone through a hard time with her back season up on her and things like that. So I do think this is a little bit better. Do I think this is the best Sierra? No, I don't think this is the best Sierra we've seen. But it's a touch better than the week before. She looks a little bit improved. She does, again, have some vascularity going on in the arms here, just a little bit, but still, we gotta watch that vascularity a little greenish. She's got some tanning issues too. Sounds like from what people are saying, it sounds like the tanning was a little bit rough at this particular show. So, yeah, I don't know. I think she just needs to be a little bit fuller still. Let's see how her back pose is doing. I do think her back pose is a bit better again this week than it was at optimum. She's tilting a little bit more. She needs more hair. She doesn't have enough hair covering in the back here. So I'd add another weft of hair extensions or something like that just to cover up the back a little bit. This just looks a little bit thin. And again, I think this is a better look. She's definitely fuller. For sure, she's fuller here than she was in optimum, specifically from the back. But I think she still needs more. I'd like to see more upper outer glute. Conditioning looks just about right. Like I said, we've got hamstrings, but they're not super tight like Val's were. And we're not seeing like that super defined adductor here like we did with Val. So I do think this is more in line with what the conditioning should be. I think she just needs more glute, like more upper outer. I'd like to see more upper outer here. More, there's almost just more up in here and top. But again, this back pose is better. And I do feel like she could probably push back a little bit more in this back pose, but maybe she's not doing that. Maybe she's not doing that to try to minimize the hamstring tie-ins a little bit. That could be why she's not pushing back harder. But again, I'd just like to see more hair back here, and just in general, just some more glutes. All right. So Ashley did win this. We kind of knew that was going to happen. The show is a case in point why ladies need to DIY plus 10 every time. Yeah, but again, going back to on that flip side of that, my posing client here did DIY. She did do DIY, and she felt like her tan was too dark in comparison to everybody. So I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing to do your DIY, but she actually mentioned her tan was too dark. So I don't know. Again, looking at her tan, I didn't think it was too dark. I didn't think she was too dark. When I saw her next to everybody else, she was absolutely darker than everybody else on stage. So, and she did DIY. So I don't know. Okay, so Ashley, again, looks pretty green here, but everybody else did too. So I just think it was a tanning thing at this show. Could be a lighting thing. I'm not really sure. Again, we're still seeing that wateriness and retention in that lower abs. She's actually squishing a little bit here with her hand in that front pose. Needs to watch the hair coming down the middle of her suit like that. This is a big pet peeve of mine. Anybody that is a posing client of mine, I've told you, don't let your hair go into the center of your chest. It's just distracting more than anything else. You can bring it down your shoulder on the outside, but don't let it fall into the center, right? And if it does get there, push it off, get it off, right? This is still, to me, her midsection is still a little bit soft here, right? Shoulders look pretty decent. Again, the tan just looks a little green, but again, everybody did. So I don't necessarily think that's a problem with this particular show because everybody looked a little off with their tan. I just like to see her twist this pose a little bit more. I think we've mentioned that several times. She poses a little bit too straight on for me. I'd like to see her twist the hip around a little bit more, get a little bit more V into that waistline, and get rid of this almost like ab distension, water retention here right on the hip bone. Let's do a back shot. Most of my critiques for her at this show are the same ones that I had from Optimum. Same thing. And again, she did switch her suit bottoms up, which I'm a big fan. I'm very happy she got rid of the T-back. That is a very good thing. So this is still a little bit too small, I think, but it's better. It's better than what she was doing. Back pose is still scrunched up on the top. We mentioned these are all the same critiques that I had from Optimum. Same exact critiques. Hair is too long. It's hitting the top of her glutes. It's actually minimizing the top of her glute here. Conditioning is right where she needs to be in the hamstrings. She's off. She's tilting off a little bit on the back pose. Again, these are all the same things that I mentioned from Optimum. So the critiques really haven't changed. She looks almost the same as Optimum, other than the fact she looks a little bit greenish here, but I think everybody does. So I don't think that's necessarily a knock on her. But she clearly has the best glutes on the stage. Still needs to work on the front pose, in my opinion, and just needs to work on a few of these things. Like again, she's kind of pushed off a little bit on one side with her her back pose. Her feet are a little bit off with her stance here. She's just pinching a little bit. You know, all these details and stuff that in this particular show, it wasn't a huge deal. Not going to really determine, not going to knock her out of that winner's circle. But when she gets up to a show like the Olympia and things like that, it absolutely is going to make a difference. So these are things she needs to work on for the Olympia. And even here, I think her conditioning could have been a little bit tighter. I do think she could be a little bit tighter. I feel like she's trying to do this fullness look, which is working for these shows. But again, when I think she gets into like an Olympia stance, I think it's actually going to hurt her because she looks a little bit watery in comparison, right? So she needs to find a balance where she still looks full, but she doesn't look like she's watery or inflamed, right? But still clearly a win for her. And she'll be going into Mile High this coming weekend too. And we're going to talk about that in a second. Before we get to that, we're going to go through, those are the comparison shots. I wanted to pull up the comparisons really quickly before we go on to Miami, because I wanted to look at their tans real quick. We're not going to go through all the comparisons, but you know, let's take a look at the tan here in this shot. So, you know, like I was saying before, you know, Ashley and Sierra do both look a little greenish. Yami is a little bit light here. I would say that Val and Erica probably have the best tans on the top 5, right? And this girl right here, her tan's pretty good too. I don't know who she is. She was probably 6th or 7th, but I didn't pull her up. Her tan's pretty good too. So is this girl right here. Her tan's pretty good as well. So I don't think it was everybody, I think, at the show, but I do see, like, again, a little greenish for these 3 right here. A little greenish, a little bit too light, you know, that kind of thing. So there's some tanning issues for sure. For sure. All right. So there's the comparison shots for that. So now we're going to go back to Miami. Okay. There's not a lot of photos for Miami, and they're not the best quality either. They're not very high res. All of them look a little bit blurry, but we're still going to go through the top 5. Yulia, 5th place. So we're going to pull up her front shot. And I know what her feedback was here. They just want to see more pop from her still, some more confidence, and they want to see more definition in her core. She came in a lot fuller the last couple of shows, which is absolutely where she needs to be. She got rid of the vascularity. We were talking about the vascularity at the last show with Nevada State, with all the girls that are showing vascularity. Vascularity with Yulia is definitely an issue, but she's been able to get rid of it the last couple of shows, which has been a very, very good thing. She just needs to be able to pull in this lower ab and be in the waistline just a little bit tighter. I really feel like from the back, she freaking kills it. And I think that that's also her feedback. I think from the back, she's just phenomenal and actually really hard to beat from the back. She's super full, super round when she's full. You know, if she comes in too lean, obviously, that's a problem. But she's super full and super round from the back. Her back pose is V right in. You know, this is really, really good. We see those delts. We see that lower back nice and tight, all of that. So I think from the back, she's doing a phenomenal job. She just needs to make sure that she can keep her waistline tight from the front and really open up that front pose and just wow the judges when she goes on stage. And then she'll be up in those top spots again. I mean, she is already. She's in the 5th place spot in another huge stacked show. I mean, this is like, what, 30-something athletes, right? So she's still the top. And Brittany also... You know, Brittany and Yulia kind of swapped placings this week. They were the other way around last week. These pictures are really hard to judge anything from. Again, they're really dark. We had a lot of shadowing. But the biggest thing that she's got to be careful of, again, vascularity. You see the vascularity in the biceps, the shoulders. She's brought the shoulders down a little bit with her posing, which has been good. Waistline is tight. That's good. Looks like there's a little bit of tanning issue here, but again, I could be wrong because it could just be the lighting. But I feel like I see some splotchiness in her tan here a little bit. Again, I'm going to say the same thing that I've said every show. I'm not a huge fan of this suit. I wish she would try something a little bit different. I think it actually makes her look a little bit more top heavy than she is. So I wish she would try a different suit for this. Let me take a look at, let's see, we don't even have a back shot for her. So we can't even critique her from the back. Not a lot of photos, unfortunately. So don't know what to say about her back shot. So we'll just leave it at that. Moving on to the next one, we have Cassandra. We do have a back and front for her. Again, these are really shadowed, so it's hard to say anything. She's got a great little waistline right here. Probably needs to pull in a little bit tighter on that lower ab. A nice proportion here into the shoulder. Really good upper glute pop right here. I think her conditioning is pretty good as well from what I can see here. Not sure about the suit color. The suit color might be okay. From here, it's not really popping much. But again, this could just be the lighting from the video or from the photos. You know, when I was looking at Brittany's photos, her suit's not really popping much, but I know it's really bright on stage. So this could just be a lighting thing when it comes to the photos. Really, this looks really good with her glute pop here. I would probably try to adjust this pose a little bit. Again, she might not be fully posed here, but she looks a little bit broad through the upper body versus the lower. So maybe just stand up a little taller and not open up quite so much in the upper body. Take a look at her back. These photos are really hard to critique, not only because of the lighting, but we're also not getting full shots either. So we can't see their feet. Back shot looks great. Nice and full. Really good conditioning. She's got tie-ins, but not super hard. Nice width through the upper body. She's a little bit off, like this elbow's in a little bit. This one's out a little bit. So I'd like to see her open that up just a little bit more. It might just be an imbalance from her posing from the front pose. But this looks pretty good. I might want to try and go a little bit shorter on the outer part of this hair here. Maybe do more of a U shape just so that we can see a little bit more of that lower back. She actually has a really tiny waistline from the back and she's covering it a bit. So I try to get rid of a little bit of this hair back here just so we can see that waistline from the back. Cassandra's suit looked nice on the videos I saw. The photos colors look very dark and dingy. Yeah, the photos are very dark. Photos are very dark. So it's hard to see what we're actually looking at, right? But yeah, I did see some videos and I agree the videos popped quite a bit better. And we have India. In second. Now, this is a good example of what I was just talking about with the suit tops. Look at how she's brought her suit top all the way into the center and has this teeny tiny little connector in the center. That is such a better look than seeing so much skin in the middle, right? This is a way better look. She has relatively large implants, so she needs to be careful about that too. Got to make sure that you cover those up a bit. And this is way better, way, way better, right? India's issue is always going to be her waistline. It's just blocky. One of the reasons why she used to do so well is she did that stallion pose, which she could hide her waistline when she did the stallion pose. We don't do the stallion pose anymore. So, you know, she had to adapt to the current posing, which really exposes her waistline. I think she's very tight in her waistline, just genetically. She's just built a little bit thicker. So that's always going to be an issue for her. She's another one where I feel like she's a little bit too broad up on the top here versus her lower as far as this particular pose is concerned. So maybe try to push into the pelvis a little bit more, get that glute to pop up a little bit more and just kind of make this V a little bit more balanced right here in the front pose. I guess for these ones, I could have just swiped through because we got a half of a glute pose. So we don't have a full glute pose for her either. So we can't really critique her from the back. We already know she's got incredible glute genetics. So we're just going to say she's got great glutes. I think the reason why she's not hitting that top spot more than anything else is just her waistline. And it's just a genetic thing. So she's got to get into a show where that doesn't get exposed like that. You know what I mean? So I think from the back, she's very, very good. Again, I don't know about her conditioning and stuff because we don't have a full back shot. So, and then we have Maria winning it again. So Maria goes 2 for 2. This is a great front shot. I just think she's really well balanced from top to bottom. And again, because the lighting is so different, I don't want to compare this one to her last showing. But I do think that this is a beautiful look, really well conditioned top to bottom, nice tight waistline, no vascularity anywhere, right? You know, all the things that we talked about with the other girls. Do we have a back shot? And no full on back shot. So we can't look at her fullness, unfortunately. But we know that her critique in the past has been upper outer glute, which I think she's definitely improved upon. This looks nice and full right here. Good pop, all of that. If we had a full back pose, we could see a little bit better on the conditioning. But if I had to guess, it was probably pretty similar to the week before. And, you know, great job for her being more consistent now this year. I don't know what her plans are now. I think she's probably going to take off to the Olympia. I would anyway. Two wins in a row. Great way to cap the season here. So congratulations to her. Any questions on this past weekend shows real quick before we go into next weekend shows? Any other questions that we have from this weekend? Now, when we go into this weekend shows, we're going to see a lot of the same people all over again. So what I did for this coming weekend shows is I pulled up some other people that we don't have current photos from. But you can see here that we have stacked shows this year, or this weekend. I mean, these are all these shows here are all this weekend. There's 4 Bikini Pro shows this coming weekend. 4. There's Toronto, DC Pro-Am, which I will be there and I will be on the live stream. There's Sheru, and there's Mile High. These are all Bikini Pro shows this coming weekend. Okay. So the fact that the shows are as full as they are is pretty incredible. Let's take a look at some of the shows coming up here and what we're going to be looking for. Is this, let's start off with the easy one. Let's go to Mile High. Okay. Now, it's pretty clear. I think we know we're going to see, you know, Ashley kind of walk away with this probably. I mean, I don't really see anybody here that's going to push her. We do have, let's see, I forgot to even pull these up. We have Kate Carroll. Let's see if I can get this to pull up. It wasn't working earlier. Let's see if it'll work. If not, I can probably Google her. Nope. Still sitting there searching. So Kate, if you remember, she just took 4th a weekend ago, really. Let's see. Let me see what I can do here as far as pulling her up. Contests. Let's go to, what was it that we just had? We just had Clash, right? The Girl Power? It wasn't Girl Power, was it? Man, I can't even remember. No, it was not Girl Power. Somebody help me out. What we just had last week. That's it, right there. Okay, got it. This is her, right here. Cool. All these shows start blending together. So here's Kate. We just talked about her the other week. She's also placed second to Ashley in Hawaii. So she's pretty much the only one I see kind of making any kind of moves. She's probably going to have been second to Ashley again. She had a few tanning issues here. We talked about that. I didn't like her suit top. It was a little bit too big. You know, other than that, she looked pretty good for herself. Needs a little bit more glutes, that kind of thing. So I think she's probably going to be like your second place or so. I pulled that one up just because I was trying to search for people. Anybody else on this list you see that could do anything? Anybody? And give it a minute. Anybody else on the list? And I think we're going to see this happen more and more and more since we don't have the point system. You know, we've talked about this before. If you know that you got an Ashley Kaltwasser or an Amy or any of these top Olympians going into a show and there's no point system, there's literally kind of no reason for you to do the show if you feel like you can't beat one of those top people. This is why I feel like they need to bring the point system back. I've mentioned this several times. We're seeing this across the board. Whenever we got one of these Olympia blockers into a show, the show numbers are right. Which I can't blame anybody for that. I can't blame anybody for that. If the point system was in place, I think we would see something different here. I think we would see more people in this show. So I am a big advocate for the point system. Bring back the point system. Give people a reason to show up. Just saying. But that's all we got really for Mile High. Like I don't see anybody beating Ashley. I think she's gonna walk away with this pretty easily. Let's pull up Sheru. Sheru looks like it could be pretty decent between our top. It's like 3 girls. We've got so we've got Alessia, who has not been doing great this year. She didn't place in Pittsburgh. This was Clash. Where did she place in Clash? She's just a little bit too muscular at this point. She's filled out, but she's a little bit too muscular. Where did she place? Why am I not seeing her? This was last year, right? Yeah, this was last year. This is not this year. This was last year, or 2022. Sorry, that's what pulled up. Again, I had to go into Google to pull these girls up because the search bar wasn't working. So this was actually 2022 for Alessia. This was not this year. It's not current. So 2024 Pittsburgh Pro. She just hasn't been doing great this year, and I think she's filled out quite a bit. But again, I think she's too muscular. I think she's too dense. So then it's going to hurt her in this show. We've got both Lisa and Allison that I think will probably beat her. Lisa was 4th in New York. We talked about Lisa and what she needed to do. She's a little bit too dense in her quads, a little bit too dense in her shoulders. Wasn't a fan of the suit. Wasn't a fan of her posing. She needs to fix those things in order to do well in the States. She wins shows in Europe, no problem. But if she wants to win stuff in the States, she's got to fix some of these things. Yeah, the suit, cut, color, everything, just throw it all away. In the recap that Tyler did, he even said she had too much density. She mentioned stuff about her presentation, things like that, all of the same things that we talked about here. I do still think that she is your front runner going into the show, however. I think it's going to be between her and Allison in this particular show. Alessia hasn't really found her look yet. Yeah, I agree. I think Alessia just has too much muscle at this point, to be honest with you. I mentioned, I think I would like to see her try figure. I think figure would be a good fit for her at this point. Allison has definitely found a groove this year, has gotten better each show. So I do expect her to kind of push Lisa at this show. I could see it going either way. Allison has placed pretty well this year. Again, she's got a little bit too much density. A lot of these European girls, that's what we see. We see a lot of density, the issues with the vascularity and the muscle, all those kinds of things. But when they're all next to each other, then it comes down to shape and things like that. So I think it's going to be between Allison and Lisa here. So we're going to see what's going to happen. I would say that based on record, I would say that Lisa is in the front runner, but I would say based on improvements, I think Allison would be the front runner. So I do think it's going to come down to the two of them, and we're just going to have to see how it's going to play out that day. Okay, so that was Sheru. I don't see anybody else on this list. Does anybody see anybody else on this list that we missed before we move on to the next one? I want to make sure that I don't miss anyone. Let's go to Toronto. Toronto's a huge show. So we've got Kimberly in here, which, did I not talk about her recently? I thought I pulled her up. Did she place 6th this past weekend? I can't remember. She recently, she did look a lot better this last show. I thought I had her up from these past shows. I'm sorry about that. She had the purple suit. I still have the same critiques on her as far as she needs more fullness in her upper body, but I liked the purple suit quite a bit. I wonder if I can find her. Hold on. I think I saw her a second ago. What did I do? Paste. Damn it. I think Kimber competed as fetch. That's what it was. 5th at Clash. Okay. I knew I just talked about her. Let's see. Maybe this one will pull her up. Okay. Well, here she is. There we go. We got her. Okay. Found her. Okay. This is the purple suit. Okay. So, I do think she's somebody to watch in this show. I still have the same critiques from her pretty much every show as far as she just needs some more size to her upper body, some more fullness to her upper body. Needs to work on the glam still. Glam's just kind of not pow enough for me. I do like the purple suit better than the green and the red that she's been doing for sure. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how it plays out for her this coming weekend. Probably top call out. The ladies in Canada tend to have a little bit more muscle, so that might not bode well for her in Toronto. We're gonna have to wait and see how the lineup plays out. So Kimberly, Erica, we just talked about her at Nevada. She was just 5th, so we just talked about her. I pulled up Maxine because Maxine took what, second in Vancouver last year. So we haven't seen her since last year, but she was second last year, I believe, to Ashley. Great shape, great look. I think she was a little bit on the small side, if I remember correctly. Let me see. Was it? Yeah, Ashley. Ashley was the one that won this show. So I would say pay attention to her for sure. Don't know what she's going to look like this year because we haven't seen her since Vancouver last year. But I would definitely be paying attention to her for sure. Anybody else on the Toronto list that we should be looking at? Let me pull that up so you guys can see it. Anybody else on here that we should be looking at? There's like 2 people from the US. Everybody else is from somewhere else. A lot of Canadians, Italy, Germany, Mexico. You know, not a lot of US people going to Canada right now. So we'll see. Again, I don't know a lot of these girls that are on here. I think Alice has placed decent in Italy. So we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. Right? Okay. I'm not seeing anybody offer any other names. So let's go on to our next show. We talked about Mile High. We talked about everything except for DC. So let's go to DC. Okay, so here's our DC Pro-Am list. This is where I will be this weekend. I will be on the live stream. So again, go to GaryUnit.com. You can get the live stream there. You will hear live commentary from myself and my co-host Leo all day long. We will be on for the men too. So we start with the men in the morning, and then the women are in the afternoon, starting at 3 o'clock. This is the most interesting show of the weekend because there's literally not a single person in here that is a clear front runner, which is fantastic. It leaves it wide open. It's going to be really good competition. There's a few names on here I haven't pulled up as far as to look at because we haven't seen them this year, but they've competed in the past. So one of them being Masa. Masa is somebody that has not competed, as you can see, since 2021. Masa is actually from the DC area, so I know her pretty well. But she hasn't been on stage in a couple of years now. She's a tall girl, a lot of muscle. She's won shows in the past, so I'm very curious to see what she's going to bring back to the stage this coming weekend. Let me get a front pose for her. Here we go. There's Masa from 2021. So I'm very curious to see what she's going to look like. Have no idea because it's just been so long. But this is going to be a fun one to watch for sure. So pay attention to Masa. Next up, I have Marie Eve, who has been doing very, very well this season. Placed second at Girl Power. Has been top 3 and 4 at the Arnolds this year. Very, very good. Could definitely be a winner here. I'm putting her in my top 3 for sure. I'm curious to see how she lands. So she's absolutely one to be paying attention to, 100%. We have Tara, again, another one. Top 4, top 2. She placed second at the UK Arnold. She was fifth. She was 5th at Pittsburgh Pro, 2nd at San Diego Pro. So again, top 2, top 3. Another one to be paying attention to, 100%. The things I've mentioned before, I just like to see a different suit color more than anything else. And she's done a really, really good job of correcting some of her like front pose issues, things like that, nice and full in the glutes, all those kinds of things. Absolutely want to watch here. I pulled up Shanika because she's one of my Pro Performer Promise girls, so I always want to give those girls a shout out. If I worked with you at any point in time, I'm giving you shout outs. So she's a hometown girl. I want to see her up on that stage again this year too. So I'm looking forward to seeing her up there. Pulled up Jessica Machado, who has not competed since 2023, but she has had top 3 placings since then. So again, we don't know what she's going to look like this coming weekend, but another one to be paying attention to as well. And then I've also pulled up Emmy, who just placed, top 3 at New York Pro, also top 3 at Wasatch. So she's absolutely one to watch. And then the ones that we've already talked about this weekend, from this past weekend, we've got Yulia in there. We've got Val in there. This is going to be a ridiculously hard show. Ridiculously hard. Even though it's like, 15 competitors or whatever it is, all of these girls that I've just mentioned, any one of them could win this show. So, all of them have been placing the top. All of them have had top 2s, top 3s, top 5s. None of them are qualified for this year's Olympia. So I'm just really excited. I'm actually pretty happy that I'm doing commentary on the most interesting show of the weekend. Anybody want to comment on anyone else here? I think it's going to come down to, we got Masa, we got Yulia, we've got Marie Eve, we've got Val, we've got Tara, we've got Jessica, we've got Emmy. I'm going to throw Shanika in there too, just because I love Shanika, and we're just going to do that. So if I had to pick somebody based on record and based on what they've done so far this year, I would probably have to go with Tara or Marie Eve. But I mean, honestly, every one of them have had a top 3 placing, so it could be anybody here. What do you guys think? Who do you got for this show? Who do you have in your top 3 for this show? Go ahead and type in, tell me who you got for your top 3 in this show, because again, I think this is our most interesting show of the weekend, just being real. So y'all better tune into the live stream. I think a lot of people are rooting for Marie Eve. She's come very close. She was a past Olympian as well. I don't know about her coaching situation, to be honest. What else? Who else wants to put their 2 cents in? Who's gonna walk away with this one? Marie Eve, Tara, and Yulia. Marie Eve, Val, Masa. My votes are for the Amazonians. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We have 2 very distinct looks here, really. Masa and Val are tall girls, more muscular, all of that. So they're going to be, I think they're going to compare well. Again, it's hard to say because Masa hasn't been on stage in so long, so it's going to be hard to say. Marie Eve, Tara, Yulia, Tara, Marie Eve, Yulia. I think Yulia's done a good job of really filling out. Each show she gets better. Excited to see how she does with her recent placings. Yes, our Masa really excited to have her back. Marie Eve, Emmy, Val, Tara, Yulia. I think that Marie, Eve, and Yulia compare very well to each other. I don't know. This is so hard. This is just going to be a matter of who comes in looking their best. I mean, it really is. It really is. You know, because again, based on record so far this year, I would probably have to say Tara, because Tara has beat Marie, Eve in the past. Marie has beat Yulia in the past. But we all know these can flip flop, so you know it doesn't mean anything. If they beat them in the past, doesn't make a difference. They've all beaten Val, I think. So, and Emmy. God, I don't know. I don't know, guys. Again, I think based on record, we'd have to go our front runner would be Tara. But I don't know. It could go any which way. This is going to be a fun one. So we've been on for a while tonight, guys. This is a long one. Appreciate y'all hanging on with me. This is going to be a fun weekend, though. So here's the deal. This is our only live feed this week because we're going to do it behind Bikini tomorrow. Jordan is getting into town tomorrow for the DC Prime, and I'm going to meet her. So we're going to do it in person behind the Bikini this week. Fridays when we go to check-ins, all that stuff for DC Pro-Am, and then I will be on the live stream all day for DC. So literally from the start of the show to the end, because I will be on for the men as well. So if you log on to the live stream, you'll be able to hear me. I won't be able to chat with you. I don't have that access, but you'll be able to hear all of our critiques. The cool thing about the live streams that we do here is that we talk about not just the pros, but also the amateurs too. So you get to hear some of the critiques and why people are being chosen for certain placings, stuff like that. So it's a really good live stream to get for education purposes, right? So make sure that you're doing that. What else? Just going to give Prozis a quick shout out again. Remember, grab all your sports nutrition essentials from Prozis. Use Cuties code 10. We're going to shout out Liquid Sun Rayz. Use Cuties 15 for Liquid Sun Rayz. And that's it. That's all I got for tonight. If you're still thinking about Backstage Pass, you got till Friday to get into this enrollment. We've sent you a bunch of emails to get you started. We're doing onboarding next week for those of you that have signed up. So we had a really great webinar last night, a really great launch. So I'm super excited. We're going to go through the onboarding on Wednesday and get you all set up and ready to go next week. And yeah, you should be able to watch it after the show. They always have replays of it. Yep. And that's what a lot of competitors do. Like if they're in the show, they'll get the live stream and then they'll watch it back so they get critiques and everything too. And then also, like if you have somebody getting the live stream for you, have them screen record it while you guys are on. Have them screen record it because then you can watch your critiques like right then and there, right? So I think that's it though. I think that's it. I think we're done. All right, you guys. It's been a long week already, and it's only Wednesday. I will see you guys at the show this coming weekend, and make sure you tune in to Behind the Bikini tomorrow. And other than that, I hope you guys have a great night, and let's see how this all plays out this week.